Hey, what's going on everyone? In this video, you read the title, Pelican Case 1510. We're going to review this. I bought this myself more or less for CES and Computex coverage. I want to be able to take all of my camera gear safely wherever I go, especially via airplane. The good thing about the 1510 in particular is that you can take this on an airplane as a carry-on because it's the full size, like the largest carry-on case per volume that you can take as a carry-on on an airplane. So that's a really good trait if you want to be able to keep this with you at all times. Not to say though that it wouldn't be safe checking it in, because even if people threw this around, you know, and just treated it like dirt, which let's be honest happens most of the time at airports, this thing would still be safe, or at least whatever is inside of it. And I would wholeheartedly be behind this case if anyone tried to throw it somewhere or just not really care what they were doing with it. The Pelican case is designed to take a lot of hits and protect the components inside, and that's why it is so reputable and why so many people recommend it on sites like Amazon. And that's exactly why I bought one, because I have two cameras that I want to make sure get to where I need to take them in one piece. I have a lot of lenses. Of course, the lenses you don't want to, throw around. Those things are very sensitive. A lot of batteries, and I also have a few other things that I include in mine in particular, like microphones. I also have my teleprompter in there, and a couple of other small cables and whatnot. So the benefit of this case is that you can put a lot in here for its size, and you have all of this foam, 2 layers of pretty thick foam that you can cut into and sculpt to fit those components that you need. So among the reasons why a Pelican case is generally so durable, in the case of the 1510, a polypropylene body attached with stainless steel pins, you actually have an O-ring seal and a pressure release valve of sorts that prevents the inside of the case from wanting to explode, basically. Not that you would need that in a carry-on for a plane, but it's there if you need it. Now, keeping in mind this is the legal carry-on size limit for most airlines, this is about 50 centimeters long in terms of the interior, so what you can fit inside of here, about 28 centimeters wide, and then 19.3 centimeters deep. And I want to stress the depth because it is split internally by 2 different polyurethane layers, basically foam that you can kind of mold again to fit those objects you want to fit inside. The foam is not biased from a depth perspective, but you can cut it length and width-wise, which means that you really have no control over how deep the styrofoam is cut, because it's going to be cut no matter what at the thickness of the layer. And then if you need something that's especially deep to fit in the case, then you can use the second layer underneath, cut into that as well, and then let it sit all the way down into the foam. It's actually pretty easy to cut into the foam layers. Some people use knives and try to be super fancy with it, but you can actually use your finger and just cut all the way down, because there are just tiny points between each of these small cubes here where each of the foam tiles is connected to the other. So it's not a difficult process at all. I was wondering how exactly people cut into this stuff, and the way it's laid out, it's actually pretty easy to sculpt for whatever object you want. Look, I've got some very fancy shaped cameras that I put in here. Lenses will fit. I don't recommend you cut it exactly to size, cut it slightly smaller so that the object you're putting in the case fits nice and snug. Other really cool features of this case, you actually have wheels down below. I know you can't see them now, but there's a set of wheels here and here, and they're held on by stainless steel bearings, which is good for durability. And then up top, you actually have a handle that you can pull out. I'm hoping the camera's getting this. And you can turn it basically into a carry-on bag that you could roll like any other suitcase you would take through an airport. So it's very portable. You don't have to carry it manually. You can let the thing roll on the ground and not have to worry about having to tack all that weight onto your shoulders. There's also a rubber gripped handle right here. Again, very durable. You have a genuine Pelican case little sticker here wrapped around the purge valve. That's to regulate the pressure inside of the case. And then you have 2 sturdy clips. If you want to open it up, simple as that. You can lock it back. It's very loud, I apologize for that. And then you actually have 2 little stainless steel ring holes here, so if you want to actually lock it with any kind of lock for that matter, then you could do that on either side or both if you want to get really protective with your stuff in here, and that will make it the ultimate secure Pelican 1510 case. The hinges at the back, again, stainless steel pins. It's pretty much built to go through any kind of torture test that anyone might put a case like this through. I'm not sure what the most extreme scenario would be. I know people on Twitter who saw this picture say that they've had theirs fall out of moving trucks and that everything inside was perfectly intact when they went back to pick them up. The cases on the exterior were maybe a little scuffed up, and that's to be expected. This isn't the most durable exterior, but it's a very hard shell, and with the foam inside, it's literally padded everywhere in here. there's really nothing to worry about. This is one of those reviews where I really have trouble pointing out negatives because, I mean, there's a reason why these things get like 5 stars all over the place. And now that I own one myself, I can attest to how great the build quality is, how easy it is to sculpt the foam on the inside. Look, if you mess it up, let's say you want to reuse this case for something totally different, you can buy the foam for this exact case specification and just redo it yourself. You know, and the foam itself is a lot cheaper than buying an entirely new case for different components you want to fit inside. I guess one of the only complaints I could possibly have is maybe the price. Like, it's over $100. Most Pelican cases are going to be over $100, and that's because you're paying for some of the best build quality out there. So if you aren't prepared to spend that much on a case, I don't blame you, but most of the time, if you buy a case like this, you're going to put really expensive hardware in here. You know, when this one's all decked out for me, I have probably $4 or $5 grand worth of camera gear in here, and having a case that's 100 or so USD to protect all this stuff very well, mind you, is totally worth it in my book. If you're wondering what kind of gear I put in my Pelican case 1510, you can see all the stuff that this will hold, and I actually still have space left over for extra lenses maybe in the future. I have a Sony a7 II with a battery extension and a small rig cage. I have 2 batteries that go along with that, and then 2 that fit into the battery extension on the camera, along with that charger, and those grooves were cut out in the bottom layer of foam underneath the camera cutouts. I have a lot of space down below for pretty much empty. I mean, you can put whatever you want here. I'm expecting at some point I'll drop the money on a better lens for the a7 II, but for now I spent enough on the camera, we'll hold off on that. I have a G85 to the right of that, which you aren't seeing in here because I'm using it to film this shot. I have 2 battery packs underneath there, as well as a battery charger. I have 2 lenses down below. They actually sit one on top of the other because they're different sizes, so they don't actually touch and hit each other when things are being transported. Now to the right of that, I have a Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, and I have a bunch of cables stuffed into the foam layer underneath that, and then I have wireless mic transmitters and receivers to the bottom right, and then my teleprompter also sits next to that. I actually have a phone there too. It's a OnePlus 5, I want to say, and I actually use it as my teleprompter device, so I can run a teleprompter app on there, and then yeah, good to go. I might review the teleprompter actually if you are interested in that, so we'll see how that goes. But for now, I want to know what you guys think about the Pelican case 1510 and any other Pelican case you might have run into in maybe your field of work. If your company uses Pelican cases, if you have personal experience with certain cases, maybe the 1510 in particular, let me know what you guys think about it based on what you've seen here. I'm not going to do like a severe drop test or something like that. I'm just not interested in dropping anything in here from 10 or 15 feet. I think that's very unlikely to ever happen anyway. This is more or less for those unexpected bumps in the road, people just kind of throwing your cases into the corners of airplanes and what have you. You know how people handle your gear sometimes. So that's what this does. This is peace of mind for anything you put inside of it. You're going to be a-okay. And if you're not going to be a-okay, if the case fails, I'm pretty sure Pelican's going to do something about it because they have a high reputation to uphold, and there's a reason why these products get 5 stars literally everywhere. So leave those comments down below if you have experience with these. If you are interested in picking one up, you can check out the description for links to several Pelican cases that I recommend. This one is probably the most applicable to most of you because you can, again, carry it onto most airlines. It's the maximum size carry-on by volume, so you'll be able to keep it with you at all times and make sure that the gear inside stays nice and safe. With that, thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't, or if you hate everything about life, and click that red subscribe button if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more content like this. This is Science Studio. Thanks for learning with us.